Okay. All right, so welcome to our weekly Law of Attraction Roundtable call, everyone. So my name's Kevin Young, and my wife Suzanne in the other window there, and I will be facilitating the roundtable tonight. So our company is Personal Success Programs, and we host webinars, workshops, and coaching programs, all based around the Law of Attraction. We're located just outside of Detroit, Michigan, in a suburb called Novi. So we host these free online calls as a way to build a global community of Law of Attraction practitioners, and we just are very pleased that you guys have taken some time to join us tonight. So a little housekeeping, just relax and get comfortable. There's a raise hand button on your screen. If you want to ask a question or participate, you can just click on that. For those of you coming in on the telephone, you can keep yourself muted by hitting star and then 6, and that also unmutes you. And then if you want to talk or contribute to the conversation, just go ahead and chime in and say your name. The workshop is being recorded. It will be sent out in our follow-up email in a few days after we get it uploaded to YouTube. If you want to go up to YouTube, you can just type in Personal Success Programs in the search bar, and then our channel shows up there, and we've got a lot of good stuff, including these recordings back for many months. Future calls, the same time, same station, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. Starting in October, we're planning to move away from GoToTraining and to the Zoom platform for a variety of reasons. So that information will be in the sign-up. If you decide to join us, you just go to our website like you did to get here, and then just register for any one of the programs. We'll also have it on Facebook, so if that's where you came in, then there'll be a link there for you. I think it's about time to get started here then on the 10-minute conversation. All right, so our 10-minute topic for today is called Empowerment Through Acknowledgement. This is part of the coaching core competencies that I had to be certified in when I got my ACC credential. We're going to add, of course, the Law of Attraction pieces into it, like for the whole phone call here. So basically, the acknowledgement process is one of the most important things we do in coaching. It's the process of bringing out a person's best by reminding them of what they already know. So everybody knows their own strengths, knows their values, but we forget. We get caught up in the little noise that goes around in our heads, all those old belief systems given to us by our parents. And so the process of acknowledgement from a coach's standpoint is to help the client remember those things, the strengths, the things they're doing well, and to feed that back in a way that doesn't engage the coach directly in opinion of the feedback. And this is tricky, but it's very powerful once you work on this technique and start using it. So in the coaching model itself, there's actually 8 different ways of acknowledgement. There's different methods. And the one we're going to focus on today is called endorsement. Some of the others include focusing on a person's strengths, wanting for somebody, in other words, wanting a certain kind of success, removing their barriers, holding the vision, being direct, silence, and celebrating. And these are all things that we're trained on to help the client help themselves move forward and feel successful. So we'll focus on endorsement, a bit of it here, in the acknowledgement process. So different than a compliment, an acknowledgement doesn't directly include your opinion. So the best acknowledgements will be something like this. Here's a little example I wrote. So a person named Tim, who's a salesperson, may be having a difficult time in sales. I would say something like, after he had succeeded in something, I would say, "Congratulations on making the difficult sales call, Tim. By getting through this challenge, you not only empowered yourself, but you're one step closer to your dream of having a practice full of clients. Well done." And so in that acknowledgement, I didn't say, "I think you did great, I think," and so forth. I simply took the action that they took, making the difficult sales call, and tied it back to the success that they had. In this case, Tim had 2 successes. One was he empowered himself because there was some fear around doing this difficult sales call. And the other is that he moved himself closer to his dream of having a practice full of clients, doing the sales and so forth. And then I just congratulated him again by saying, "Well done." So you can see my opinion is really not in that equation. It's simply putting a big spotlight on the successful thing that, according to him, he did, goal that he had but had a difficult time with, and then tying it back and putting a spotlight on how that benefited him or could benefit somebody else. But the idea is to empower the person and not get yourself into the mix. Because the difficulty with us getting into the mix, saying, I think you did great, I think, is that now they've got kind of a split consciousness. Part of it is, well, I really want to please this other person, in the case of the coach, for instance, so I'll start doing things that'll make the coach happy, and last thing we want to do is be people pleasers, because that's very disempowering. So by helping the client be empowered, then they don't have to worry about our opinion. They can just see their own action or the way they were behaving created the outcome that they wanted. So subtle but powerful difference. So I created this little scale. I did a workshop some years ago called Powerful Communication Skills, and I tied in some coaching techniques, and one of them was this acknowledgement. And I realized that there were a number of feedback techniques that people use from one person to another. You may recognize this if you had a boss at one point. So for instance, on a scale of 1 to 10, the first and lowest one is ignoring you altogether. So have you ever had a boss or somebody else do that? Right? I call that like a -10 on the 1 to 10 scale. Being ignored is not being acknowledged at all, and that's the worst thing you can do to somebody, particularly if they're working hard. Up on the scale is criticism, a -5. That's negative feedback, but hey, at least they know that you're there, right? You got some attention. But we start to move into the positive, then a +1 on the 1 to 10 scale might be flattery. They're noticing you, maybe they want to get something from you, but at least they're trying to find something good to say. Compliment is up at a +5, so that's where you're saying, as we were saying before, I think that, I like this about what you did and so forth. Again, moving more in a more positive way, but then acknowledgement is up at a +10, because what you're doing is acknowledging who they're being and what they're doing as it pertains to them and their empowerment, not necessarily you or your opinion. So acknowledgement is the best if you can do it. Important distinctions. Flattery, of course, is insincere. Compliment, on the other hand, is sincere, but acknowledgement is sincere and self-empowering. Again, tying the power back to them. So this is all what Law of Attraction is about. We're moving up the emotional scale when we're empowering ourselves. But if you want to help somebody else empower themselves, you have to help them find their own power, and you don't want to be in the mix of helping them be their own power, because if they start relying on you to feel good, then you're back into that situation where they can't always please you, and you won't always be there to be pleased. So we always want to unravel that and put the power back in a person's hands. So why acknowledge somebody? Well, benefits of acknowledgement include it builds self-confidence. That's probably the biggest one. Encourages self-empowerment. It can be a catalyst for them taking action when they start to feel like, oh yeah, I can do this. I was doing it. I didn't even notice, and my coach fed this back, and wow, I was doing it. And it also, and most importantly, in my opinion, it demonstrates that you're paying attention to the person and thus that you care. So those are all great reasons for doing an acknowledgement. What do you want to do and not do in the process? Well, what you don't want to do is share your personal opinion. Or disguise it as a criticism. You've always heard that, well, I think you did a great job, but, and then all that goes right out the window, what you just said, and then you tear the person down. Don't ever need to do that. People know their own self-criticisms better than we do. And you don't need it to be lengthy. A couple of sentences is a powerful acknowledgement because it gives them time to reflect. What do you want to do? To always tie their actions to the results that they achieved according to what's important to them, not to you, but to them. Point out how it benefits them or to other people. And then I always like to end with a congratulations, but without using, I think that. I always try to just say, well done, or something that gives them a little positive boost at the end. So here's a little practice exercise that you can do if you want to practice this with a friend to get good at it. Find something, have a conversation about things that went on that day, and then see if you can do this process by acknowledging the other person. So your job is to, number one, tie the actions that they took to the results that they achieved. Point out how this benefits them or somebody else. That's number two. And number three, congratulate them. Just well done. Good job. So again, number one, tie the actions that they took to the results they achieved. Number two, point out the benefit that occurred as a result of them doing this thing, and then congratulate them. And then the other person who's receiving the acknowledgement, all they can do is say thank you. You can't have a conversation about an acknowledgement. Just say thank you. Then swap sides. Do it for 1 minute each. See what happens. So that's the process of empowering others through acknowledgement. Again, if you have been following Law of Attraction for any length of time, you know that it's all about helping them help themselves to feel good. And that moves them up the emotional scale, and you're their cheerleader, but without getting in the mix of their empowerment, so that they can walk away and be empowered. So that is acknowledgement. One bit of it anyway, from a coaching perspective. All right, so any questions on that? Any questions on application? And again, if you got yourself muted, you'll have to unmute yourself before talking. And if you want to put your little hand up, if you have something to say, then you can go ahead and click on your little raise hand button. It's a powerful technique. We learn a whole year's worth of a variety of techniques as a trained coach. And it's not something that I take lightly, and I'm going for my second level certification right now, and I got to tell you, it's been a lot more difficult than I thought it would be, because there's so much to remember, and you just can't seem to practice it enough. So I got I actually brought my textbook down here. I got the whole textbook right here that I've been going through to get myself back in the zone here, and so I can get to that next level certification. So we got a number of people on the line. Who's got something they want to jump in with, or question you want to ask about Law of Attraction, how it applies, maybe a success story you want to share to acknowledge somebody or encourage others? That's what we're here for. This is a Q&A call. So go ahead and click your raise hand button, or just go ahead and jump right in. Just again, be sure to unmute yourself first before you start talking. And always drink a lot of water, by the way, guys. This is a great conductor of energy through your body. I drink something like 10 of these 16-ounce glasses a day with a little bit of sea salt as a catalyst. Suzanne does the same, as you can tell. And it really helps open my energy flow, gets me into the alignment state, and then the ideas flow and the energy flows through me. That's what allows me to do things like this, and our meetup group, and teach workshops and so forth. Lots of water to get in touch with your higher self. So it's quiet out there.
It is.
So what do you want to talk about, Suze?
Well, as far as Law of Attraction goes, all the time Abraham will get somebody up on the hot seat, and they'll say something positive like, things are really going great, but, and then they go into the whatever's not working. And that's totally what happens when you were talking about it. If you put the but in the middle of a sentence, it brings the energy right back down. So any nice positive high frequency thought you might have put out there is canceled with right after you start going into but. So I just happen to be thinking of that when you were talking about
yeah. And it can be other phrases. It's but, or yet, or however, or anything that, starting off with a compliment's a great thing. And if you really want to get good at this stuff, and it really takes practice, you try to find a way then, instead of criticizing the person, try to help them see a better way, or if there is a better way. And keep in mind that they're the only ones who really know what the better way is, in any case, because we like to think that we have our opinions can help somebody move forward, and they often can be a nudge, but we never know the exact direction that somebody else needs to take, because only their inner being knows that. It's inherent in their internal process, the desires that they've created that tie into the inner being. So one of the things that Dale Carnegie recommends, if you go through the 12-week human relations course, which is very powerful, Suzanne and I have experienced, is they say, switch your but to and if you can. So that kind of warps your mind at first, because it means you can't criticize the person. So you might give them a compliment, and then you say and then maybe areas for improvement or areas to look at, but never in a condescending way. So if you can tie a sentence together with the word and, you'll empower yourself and you'll empower the other person, because it forces you to look for a more positive benefit for that person. A lot of great stuff from Dale Carnegie. We got part of our library back here is full of Dale Carnegie books and materials for the courses that we've taken. Dale Carnegie understood Law of Attraction probably better than anybody in the last century, other than maybe Napoleon Hill. And so if you haven't taken that course, it's really good to take.
I think what we're talking about tonight, or just a little bit of it, empowerment through acknowledgement. I think that's nothing we're really raised, or at least I wasn't. I wasn't raised in any kind of an atmosphere to understand what that really means. I mean, it was hard enough to, when I took Dale Carnegie, to accept a compliment and give a compliment. So acknowledgement being a little bit different. It does take some practice and some focus.
Yeah, but well worth the effort, because you're only going to support other people. Looks like we have a hand up here. Liz, I see, is on the line. Liz, go ahead. What's up, Liz?
And I have to say that.
Nice segue.
Good.
I listen to Abraham all the time. I was doing like night meditation, and then I do really well just listening to a segment. And it seems like it's always the perfect thing. And so, you just never know, right? So yeah. I woke up in super early in the morning. I had no business being up that early, and I'm like, okay, I got to do Abraham. And I just put on my, my YouTube, and I hit like the perfect meditation.
Oh, cool!
Isn't that amazing how just things fall in line when you're more open? And lately I've been working on the moment, just right now, right with you guys, and what unfolds. The unfolding of the day instead of planning my whole flipping day out. And not that I don't keep a schedule, but that I don't pre-plan it. Pre-pave, like I pre-pave it's going to be a great day and I'm going to have great contacts and I'm going to, meet amazing people, but I don't get so detailed where it doesn't feel good. And that's been really fun.
Oh, good point.
I love that, Liz. That's actually that's something that I've been working on for quite a while, and I got to say it's a lot harder than I thought it was, because I'm a very scheduled person by my nature. And but Law of Attraction is the machinery, and the universe already knows what we want, and learning to trust that. I have to acknowledge you for having worked on building the trust, and as a result, you seem to be attracting a lot of things now in your life. So well done.
It's not, and I guess I'm not sure I could say this better. It's not, planning that I'm having lunch at 1:30 with Susie May, and I'm going to be at the Starbucks, or I'm going to be at the Panera Bread, and it's after that when I start to plan. Well, we're going to talk about great things, you know what I'm saying? And I decide what the whole, I don't know if I may be the only crazy person that decides what the whole experience is going to be. And isn't that a bummer when it could be better than what I planned? And when I don't plan it, it's better. It's like I couldn't have even thought of some of the stuff that's happened to me in the last few days.
Yeah.
Wow, so there you go. So that is really the trust factor, and letting go of the illusion of needing to control everything. Wow.
Yeah, and being confident that, confidence is my new word today, and being confident that I guess if we actually really knew how much we were supported, we would not have to plan a whole lot. We wouldn't have, if we really knew how much the universe supported us every second of every day, we wouldn't have to worry that the appointment I'm going on is not going to be like the most amazing appointment, the best day, the best moment, the best time with Suzanne, the best time with my girls, the best time,
Hmm.
if we really, really got to that point of full trust.
So you're certainly pretty far along the way relative to the general population. And for the just and I wanted to ask you more about that, but for the sake of the people on the call and maybe future listeners from YouTube, the Abraham teachings, the Law of Attraction teachings, come from Abraham Hicks Publications, and they've been teaching the Law of Attraction for 30 some years now, and they are really the core of the knowledge that we and so many people have bounced off from and started our own businesses from. So I want to ask you, Liz, how do you think you got to the point where you are about trusting the universe and how the law of attraction works?
Well, I've been working on it for quite a few years. What, 4 years now?
Hmm.
And oh no, longer than that. What am I thinking? A long time. Oh gosh, since 2010. So 6 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not a quick learner. I'm a slowpoke. I try it the wrong way, and they can't be right. I always knew that I could manifest things. I've been a positive person, positive believer, but it's the fine tuning that I've struggled with, and it's sticking. Like last year I wanted to grow my business, and why isn't it exploding now? Do you know what I mean? And last year I wanted the perfect mate, and why isn't that here now? And I forgot the question, but
just how you got to where you are in terms of your understanding.
Well, I think that I am so wanting to experience everything out of this life I can experience and enjoy this life to the fullest, and knowing that we are blessed and highly favored and everything always works out for us. I remember all the positive things. I truly believe in it, but I want to fine tune that. I want to float downriver. I don't want to struggle. And I've worked really hard. Not hard like physical labor, but I've done it wrong a lot, and I've done it right a lot, but I've done a lot of, and then I went, oh my gosh, this is not working for me. And then go back and listen to some more clips, or go to, training with you guys, and go, okay, that's the piece I'm missing. And I think it's more relieving than trying. I wanted to try. I wanted to work hard.
And so by being intentional and simply trying a lot of things, it sounds like you're starting to really find that groove, that comfortable groove of how things always work out. Is that right or no?
Yeah, I am, and I'm finding that, okay, so we'll just use my business. I could sit there and call 100 people and make 5 appointments for the week, or 10 appointments, or whatever. And a few years ago, I talked to Suzanne about, I really want people to call me.
Yes.
And, efforting is getting on the phone and doing 100 dials and hoping for a different outcome, and on and on and on. And that wasn't working. That wasn't even feeling good. I don't care what any coach says. It doesn't feel good to get on the phone and do that, And so now I have people calling me because I know they're going to call me. I know I'm going to enjoy my life. I'm going to have fun. And my business is better now than it was a year ago.
Very nice.
But it doesn't happen overnight. And I think that's a big thing for me. I want, okay, if I work really hard, it's going to happen tomorrow. Well, if I don't work really hard and I really enjoy my life and I really know that everything always works out for me, the next logical step is for my business to grow. I mean, and that's just such ease. It just happens instead of pushing against it or working really hard.
Yes. So there's something you let go of in there. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, the working really hard part.
There you go. It's so counter to what we're taught. Sorry, Suzanne.
Yeah, and that's how you started your conversation, Liz, by just saying, well, you woke up way too early. It sounded like it was in the middle of the night. And instead of working hard at finding the perfect Abraham clip to listen to, you just went ahead and just went on YouTube and picked one, and it was perfect. And that's a total example of how you have begun to not work so hard at getting what you want, just allowing it to unfold and be what it is. And it turns out much better, it sounds like what you've been saying.
So much more fun. So much more fun.
Well, that brings up actually an important point, and that is that it's the noticing of when things show up that are in perfect harmony to something that we wanted, and we can tie that into that we were feeling good or that we had let go of something. I have that on small things pretty regularly, where a YouTube clip, it happened this morning. I actually had
Mach mal das Fenster auf, we're going to die in here.
I'm hearing somebody on the phone there. If you're on a telephone, could you mute yourself with *6, please? Thank you. So one of the important things is that we notice when things are going well. And when a little thing like that shows up and it's a perfect, what we'd call like a serendipity, that's a law of attraction moment, fulfilling a desire. And so it's really important to notice those and put a big spotlight on them, because we tend to call things coincidences, but there's no randomness in the universe. There are no coincidences. There's no luck. There's no bad luck or good luck. There simply is attraction. And so when we start to notice the small things occurring, then now we build momentum in, and that's I'm hearing what you're saying, Liz, is that maybe that's part of where you built some of this trust that you have in the universe.
Oh, Kevin, I love that. And I often forget to recognize all the little things. And when I do, when I do, it's amazing. And then you realize that big things are happening, although the word big just kind of sends me off in a tailspin. Big, oh my gosh, it's huge. And so it's not as attainable. So I think you're right, when I notice those little bitty things, like, oh my gosh, the sun just came out, in the middle of the day after it rained. And isn't this great? And the air smells so good, and I just got through all those green lights, or anything. You're right. When I do that, then more appears on my path. It's just like dumping stuff on my path for me to appreciate. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, the more I appreciate, the more I get.
We get to appreciate.
And it would be all about me.
It always is.
Yay.
That's
always.
Right. The idea of being selfish, people get all freaked out because they were taught not to focus on ourselves or be selfish. But hey, the law of attraction is wired to reflect back to self. So it's a selfishly wired universe. So congratulations. That was an important one for me too, Liz, because I've been pushing a little bit too hard on a big program that I wanted to do this fall, and I realized that trying to get all the pieces lined up was stressing me out, and people are simply not signing up as a result. And so just before this call, I decided to let all that go and get back to building the trust in the little things, just like exactly the way you said. So this was a perfect attraction for me, and you showed up with the perfect answer. So thank you for that, Liz.
Thank you, Kevin, because, when we all remember everything that we're blessed with, we're just blessed even more. And it could be, you're right, it can be just as simple as, thank God I have a clean washcloth today.
There you go. I'm always thankful for that too.
I'm thankful for you guys. As I was listening, and I usually take up a chunk of this call, and I'm not really sorry. I wait till the end usually, but I am so grateful that every Monday I can come and I can get fed and I can give my experiences or ask my questions. It's just such a blessing for me. Thank you.
We appreciate you, Liz.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, that's a great energy boost here.
Yeah.
So
much appreciated.
Yes. So who else wants to jump in here? A law of attraction question, maybe just a comment, a success story, something you'd like to tie in that's not working for you? Who wants to go next? Don't be shy. heard a few people on the phone back there. They don't show up on my radar screen. Somebody on the phone want to jump in and ask a question, apply law of attraction to something going on in your life, so maybe something that's not working? Phones are all yours. Silent out there today.
It is. I'll share a little fun thing that happened with Kevin and I and Roxy a few days ago until someone raises their hand or jumps in, for heaven's sakes. But we always try to get a walk in with Roxy whenever we just play it by ear. We wait for the impulse usually. And the other day, a couple of days ago, I think it was Friday, we just said, oh, let's just go for a walk right now before we had something else we were going to do. So we started off on our walk, and it was just really, really fun because first we went, within a couple of blocks. As we approached this one house, I noticed a little old lady just kind of scurrying down her driveway and kind of hanging around her mailbox. And the bottom line was she couldn't wait for us to come over because she wanted to pet Roxy, because she had just put her dog to sleep a week ago, so she was just missing dogs, and that it just felt so good to be able to, on the impulse, decide to walk right when she was going to get her mail and wanted to pet a dog. And so then we went another few more blocks, 5 or 6 blocks, and then I saw this other woman coming out of her house and just kind of coming down her driveway, and I thought to myself, well, that's interesting. And she went right up to us, just started petting Roxy, was just so happy that she could pet the dog. And why was she? I can't remember what it was that she
had just broke up with her boyfriend, got rid of a negative, abusive boyfriend.
Yes, and I had made a comment as she started coming down. I said, wow, you're finally grinding. She had hired someone to grind out the stump of a tree that I had noticed she had cut down. And she said, oh, yes, I'm just clearing out everything. My boyfriend just broke up with me, and I'm weeding, and I'm pulling out. And she was actually pretty excited. Like she was turning over a new leaf, so to speak, literally, many leaves. And came down to just be a part of some good energy. Like Roxy was a little energy magnet that day. And it's just fun to go like that. And then the next day I took Roxy off by myself and had this, came to of course, fork in the road, so to speak, and decided, oh, I guess I'll just go this way, some new way. And on that particular turn, I ran into another lady whose dog had just died on Saturday, just the day before. And why she wanted to pet Roxy. I don't know what Roxy's got going on, but it's fun.
Yeah, Roxy, dogs know how to be uplifters. It's inherent in nature in general. It's always at the high end of the emotional scale. Things are always turning out for nature in the way that they want it, not based on what we think is right for a dog or a bird or a bee or anything. But things are working out for them, and that's one of the greatest things about having animals around us, is that they don't go out of alignment much. I mean, they can be trained out of it by being around us for a while, but in general, they're always in alignment. That's why we love to be around them. Use them as little leveraging points. And
yes, the whole point of that was just to point out how we just acted on our impulses, and decided to go right then, and then I decided to, on the next day, just go a different direction than I don't normally go, and there was the rendezvous. There was the co-creation, coming together with people who wanted a little comfort from a dog.
Yeah, and those are acknowledgments that we can do for ourselves, and that you followed an impulse in one day, we followed it on another day. It was a good day, beautiful day. Roxy's enjoying it, and just followed it, and it turned out that we helped several people to feel good, had nice conversations, and we felt good. Now, those are the little things you want to put the spotlight on. Looks like I see Liz has got her hand up there again. Go ahead, Liz.
That's one of my favorite conversations lately with my girlfriends, is going on your first impulse. That is so hard sometimes to do. You get that, I get this little thing that says, turn right. And I can justify that garbage all I want in my head. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh no, I got to go left up here. What are you thinking? I'm not turning right. I'm late. And every time I listen to the very first thing I think, or the very first thing, it's perfect. I get a surprise.
Yes, because the universe knows every path. And it's always trying to lead us down the path of least resistance to the things that we want. Yeah, and that's what that impulse is. That's a really good point, Liz, and that's one that's worth bringing forward. Again, it is the still small voice. The universe never yells, by the way, for those of you out there. The universe talks in a very steady, constant, uh, soft, firm voice. Usually there's so much noise in our own heads that we can't hear what that voice is saying, and so we try to work it out with logic and reason and what other people say and these rules and blah, blah, blah. And all that stuff just slows things down. It's getting into that positive state where the clutter is not so active up there. And then we can start to hear the guidance. And then, as you point out, Liz, then it's just a matter of trying it out, trusting the guidance, and then getting the feedback, say, oh yeah, I listened, I got something I wanted, and just practicing that little loop. It's a very good point. Thanks for bringing that up, Liz.
Now, what if I don't listen to that first instinct? You know, if
It's
I
okay.
wait and
Okay.
do I get another turn at that?
Yeah, eternally.
Yeah. You always get a do-over. You never
Yeah,
get it done.
yeah, you never get it done. So you're an eternal, never-ending energy being, and so you can't ever get 100% separated from the own rest of your consciousness, the 99% that isn't in your body right now. It's not actually energetically possible. You can get pretty stretched out, but in any case, the universe is always guiding us towards the things that we want. So that's just law of attraction, because the desires have been shot out incrementally all throughout our lives, and they are points of attraction unto themselves. And so law of attraction is constantly trying to arrange things for us to move us towards things that'll light us up based on our own definition, and moving those things towards us. So we can be in negative states, and I've had a few ups and downs over the last several weeks myself. There's so much energy going on right now, trying to get stable back again, but it doesn't matter how far off you get. It's sort of like you can pull the rubber band back, or the slingshot, I like to say. You can hold it back for the rest of your life if you like that tension, but at some point, as soon as you let it go, it self-corrects, and all the energy that was stored shoots out the other direction into the positive direction. So the interesting thing that I've learned about law of attraction, particularly this last year with all the really intense personal development work I've been doing to get all this old clutter from childhood out of the way and get really focused on our business, is that you can get yourself pretty far off into the weeds with your beliefs. And like I said, some of us are born into families, like I had a few of that in my past, that was way off in the weeds about some belief, some disempowering belief. And sometimes you got to kind of be drawn back through the weeds, through the barbed wire a bit, through the bumps, before you can get back on the path. But that's only because you yourself are so far off the path. But law of attraction, uh, the universe via law of attraction is always pulling us toward the next thing that'll light us up. It's just that it may be several steps of not so lit up stuff before we get to the lit up stuff. But if we keep honoring the trust in the process and keep moving forward, when we get the guidance will get better, it'll feel better, feel better, feel better, until things will manifest that we want. It's a good point again you brought up. Does that make sense, Liz?
Well, yeah, and wow, is that like when you're way off? Because that just brings it around for me. When, gosh, that was brilliant. When you're,
Thank you.
thank you, Kevin. When you're way off, and you talk about the little steps, is that not appreciation of the little things?
If you can get to appreciation, yeah. Sometimes we can be so far off on a given subject that nothing looks good. We're down at the bottom, we're feeling powerless or fearful or angry. So it's hard to find appreciation at that point. Certainly if you can acknowledge a little step that looks like a forward step, yes, by all means do that. It's just that the love, appreciation, joy are usually not available as emotions on that subject at that time. So sometimes a little step forward looks like a burst of anger, or a burst of rage, or feelings of revenge or blame. If we were down even below that on the scale, down in powerlessness, which is very common for pretty much all of us at some point or another. I know I get there. Even earlier today, I had a few moments something triggered me, and I didn't catch it quickly enough because I got a lot of fast moving energy, and it's like driving 100 miles an hour. You get off the road very quickly out into the weeds if you're not paying attention, and I wasn't today. And so I had to beat myself up for a while before I was able to finally start to let go of the energy and kind of soften it. And I had to get really angry about at one point during the day. Suzanne was off shopping, thankfully.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that's good. I had my own thing before I went off, but it was just like you said, Liz. It was really weird. I was working in the computer, writing a document, writing a paragraph that was I wanted to change a wording on it. It was just flowing really well, and I spent quite some time typing it all in. It was Law of Attraction, of course, based about habits and so forth. And I got it all done, and I went to save it. And I'm not kidding you, my inner guidance, my inner being said, get Kevin up here to make sure I save it correctly. And then I ignored it. I ignored those. They were soft, gentle little words. I ignored them, and I thought, oh no, I can do this. I want a better computer, and of course I goofed up and I didn't save it, and I totally lost all the work I put in, and I thought, oh man. So of course I called for help, but it was too late. I mean, he's my excellent.
much I can do.
Can't save something I've deleted or erased or something. I never did save it in the first place. And so, like you say, what do you do there? First I was real mad at myself, frustrated, thinking I wasted all that time, blah, blah, blah. And then I began to realize, okay, so I did learn the hard way. One more time, this is probably why I'm running this course, Trusting Your Inner Guidance. It had to remind me, like, hey, this is what it sounds like. These little gentle words are what is guiding you. And, go ahead and act on them. It's the impulse thing. And then I was thankful that I do understand how it works, and I get another chance to do it, and I'll get in the flow again and get it all written the way I want it. But it's just something I went through, and we all do. But I myself really look forward to continuing to listen to it and more carefully all the time. I mean, daily, and take the inspired action from that instead of arguing with myself, which is what I did.
One of the things that does happen, though, and this anybody listening in, give you some hope. Particularly if you're newer to this and it just feels like you can't get a break. We've been practicing it for quite a while, but I wouldn't say we've been that diligent about it up until maybe just the last year or two, where we really started working more on it. And what happens is, I used to be in the old days, before I knew Law of Attraction, I could be down for weeks, just in total feelings of powerlessness and despair about something that maybe triggered something from the past. And I'd eventually get out of it, and then things would be okay. And it was so easy to be triggered and then not know what to do with it. Now with the practice and doing what we call the vibrational work, where you're doing this intentionally, you're intentionally immersing yourself into the negative energy so that you can acknowledge it. Not to stay there and focus on it and dwell on it and feel bad, but simply not pushing it down, but letting it come up and be expressed. And when we do that, then we have access to release it and move up the scale. And so Suzanne and I both have practiced this for quite a bit. And you'll notice, even though we both had some pretty negative moments during the day today, we're in pretty good places right now. And we're not totally at the top of the emotional scale on everything at the moment, but that shows you that if you do the work and you're intentional about it, and you don't get caught up on beating yourself up for being down in a negative place, because that'll hold you down, then you can spring up as quickly as you can release the energy. So it's for me, even though it still feels horrible when it happens, I am very encouraged at the speed at which I can recover and get back to attracting the things that I want. But it just takes intention and some practice, and not being hard on yourself when things don't go the way you want them to, because you're not doing anything wrong. You're just getting clarity on the stuff that you do want. So who else wants to jump in here? We've heard a lot from Liz, who always has powerful things to say. We got about 15 minutes left on the call. If you got a question or a comment, now is the time to jump in. If you're on the phone, hit *6 to unmute yourself. If you're muted, if you're on the computer, just click your little unmute button, or you can hit your raise hand button and you can jump in. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, even
Hello.
if you want to. Oh, good. Yay.
Hi there. Who do we have on the line?
Paul.
Hey, Paul. How are you?
Paul, trying to figure out how to get through. The *6 did it, so thanks for that.
All right.
I have a
success story about Law of Attraction manifesting, and I thought I would share it with you.
Wonderful.
Because you guys were directly involved in it.
I like that.
I've been having some issues with a car that I own. It's a backup car, and I've had engine problems with it. And a couple months ago, a part of the engine fell off, and I called my mechanic, and there was problems. He couldn't put the part back on, and I called another mechanic, and I kept buying parts, and I kept trying to do everything myself. And so about a week and a half ago, Suzanne and you had a workshop at your house, and I attended the workshop. But not only did I attend the workshop, I picked up Gerda Moss on the way to the workshop. When I dropped her off after the workshop, I realized that I was about a mile away from the gentleman who sold me the car that was having the problems. And so I figured, I'm only a mile away. I just went to the house. I knocked on the door. I didn't see this guy for 2 years. And I said, he opened the door, and I said, you probably don't remember me, but I bought the car. It's a Toyota. I bought it from you. And he goes, oh, yeah, he's kind of putting pieces together, and I have this problem, and I have this part. I can't get this part. And he goes, oh, I got a bunch of those parts. And I said, okay, well, why don't you, I'll be happy to buy one from you. Keep in mind, it's called it's a crankshaft pulley, right? And I bought 3 of them. And I couldn't get any of the 3 onto the crankshaft. And the mechanics couldn't figure it out, what was going on. They were charging me not to figure it out, by the way. And so the guy's name, his name was Saul, and he said, oh, I've got a crankshaft pulley, and, I know it's going to fit. So here, and then I bought it from him, and I went back home with it, and my mechanics were kind of not being responsive. So I called Saul back, and I said, you know what? Would you mind doing the job for me, put the crankshaft back on? And he said, sure, no problem. So I had the car towed over there today. And the reason the crankshaft wouldn't go on was because the end of the crankshaft was blunted when the original crankshaft fell off, the pulley fell off. In other words, no mechanic would have been able to fix that car if they had come to my house, or if they didn't know how to do it. And this guy who I bought the car from is the only person that I know who would recognize the problem and fix the car.
Wow.
And that's what he did. So if I had gone to the workshop, normally, I would never have gone by where Gerda lived. I would have gone my own way. But because I went and picked her up, I was only a mile away from this guy, and my car, after 2 months of sitting, is now fixed. And it would never have happened. It kind of everything kind of unraveled and just happened the way it should have happened, and I had nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? As much as I tried my own way of ordering parts and getting mechanics and making things happen, when I kind of stepped out of the way, I feel that Law of Attraction basically put all the pieces together, the cooperative components, as you call them, and put them all together so this could happen. It would never have happened otherwise. They would have never figured out how to fix this car because they didn't realize what the problem was. And this guy who actually rebuilds engines, who sold me the car, put it all together and fixed the car. And to me, it's like, I'm not surprised by any of this. This happens all the time anyway. It's just, Law of Attraction had to do a lot of work here. It really had to put a lot of things together. Getting me to go to the workshop, getting me to pick up Gerda, having me be aware of the fact that this guy was only a mile away. All these pieces, it put together really nicely. I'm very delighted with Law of Attraction for doing that for me.
Nice.
So there's the story.
Yeah, nice story. And you said I had nothing to do with it, and of course, I'm going to jump in on that and say you had everything to do with it. You followed your alignment, my friend. Followed your impulses, and you listened to what we were talking about earlier. That was a beautiful demonstration of getting yourself into alignment and then following the guidance without resistance. And I understand you had some resistance earlier when you wanted to do it yourself, but that's kudos to you for having worked on this for so long, Paul. Is you recognizing when it's time to let go and let the universe step in and do the heavy lifting. Well done.
Well, I should have done it 2 months ago. I would have saved myself some time.
Well, now, but you had
You guys
clarity.
set up a workshop.
That's what it was.
That's right. And you wouldn't have been able to come to the call here and share that wonderful information.
And I wouldn't have even known about Garrett if it hadn't been for this call.
That's true. When you listen to the one that
Jumped on
was
the call, and I recognized her voice, and I wouldn't have even known that had I not been on this call. And everything kind of just all came together with, she wasn't even going to the workshop. And, by picking her up and taking her, I think that helped a little bit.
Yes.
So,
I believe she's actually on the call.
I think it's just the whole thing is just, it's so tremendously powerful of what it can do to help you and align yourself with what you want in life. It's just so wonderful, and I don't want to take it for granted, I guess is what I'm saying. It's just fantastic that all these things can come together and give you what you're looking for, what your desires are. So that's my 2 cents.
It's a great testimonial, and it's great feedback for everybody on the call to hear how easy it really can be as we learn to trust that guidance. But certainly, as you said, Paul, it's one of those things you got to beat your head against the wall a few times before you realize that, it can't be easier. But kudos to you for making it easier on yourself. Nice job. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the value of getting out and continuing to be active, doing stuff that feels good, because it's very fun to see the universe provide you a solution to something that you had no idea was going to happen that day. You just went out to do something else, and they're all of a sudden 1 mile away from the house from the guy that you bought the car from. Because you were going out to do something you knew you were going to enjoy. This is the whole.
And you talk about feeling good. I felt so good just to get the car out from the front of my house, to get it out of there. I was at a point where I didn't even care. I was like, I'll donate the car, I'll give it away or whatever to the, and I was like, I'm just so happy that it's gone, and I felt great. Before he even fixed the thing, and I had a lot of confidence that he would do that. But even if he didn't, I was just happy to just not have to look at it after 2 months.
Yes, right. So good pre-paving and good using of the energy. Getting it, but if there's anything that people can take away from this call today, it's the importance of getting out of the way, as Paul said, and I think Liz said earlier, and getting a nice flow of positive energy going, and then trusting the impulses and not second guessing them. Oh, and speaking of Gerda, she's actually on the call with her hand raised. Gerda, I'm going to unmute you from this side. You're live. You got about 5 minutes.
I don't know what's happening between Paul and me, because I got into your class today, and 8 minutes later, my neighbor came. Her dog ran away. If I could help her get the dog, so I left everything and went out of the house, and we were chasing the dog for half an hour, and I just came back. And it was funny. I heard Paul's voice and heard my name. I said, first of all, I heard my name. I said, this is Paul's voice. What are they talking about? Because I missed the whole class. I can't believe this.
Perfect timing. Well, he'll tell you the whole story later. We've only got about 4 minutes left on this call.
I can't believe this. I just heard a voice, and then I heard my name Gerda, and then later on I said, gotta be Paul. What is he talking about? Because I missed the whole class.
Well, you were part of one of his manifestations after the workshop that you guys attended on Saturday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll tell you tomorrow if you're going to the meeting tomorrow.
Yes. Tomorrow morning, yes.
All right.
So Gerda, we've got about 3 minutes left on the call. Was there anything that you wanted to say or any comment? If you can squeeze it
No,
in
I'm
that
out of
time.
breath because of
Chasing the dog.
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks for participating and jumping in. All right, I'm going to put you back on mute here. Yeah, so many alignments that they just show up and we take them for granted, but there's nothing, like we said earlier, there's no randomness in the universe. Everything is about alignment. Everything is about law of attraction, organizing things. When I first realized how big this was, I got a visual of every particle in the universe is accessible to the law of attraction. And that's because at the foundation, every particle is actually a wave of energy, and waves of energy don't have locations. They're a state of being, so to speak. So law of attraction can manage every last thing everywhere in the universe simultaneously, and it's moving everything around at the same time based on points of attraction. So energy that matches in the same frequency is constantly moving towards other things that have the same frequency and coalescing. That's all law of attraction does, brings frequencies together, energy that vibrates at the same frequency and coalesces it. And that's all it does all day long, and it never turns off and it never stops. So it doesn't matter where you are or what the situation is. If you have a desire that's been born out of you, law of attraction is working on it. So things are always working out for us. It's a guarantee. It's part of the system. The only reason the things that we want haven't shown up yet is because we are somehow blocking them by having thoughts that are not on the frequency of the desire that we shut out. And by definition, that's feeling good. So if you're not feeling good, then you're in the process of maybe getting some clarity about something, but you're not in a state where you can allow the things that you want to come in. So it's very important to spend time every day focusing on ourselves, whether it's first thing in the morning, meditating or going for a walk. Deep breathing exercise is something I love to do, or yoga. Could be listening to some music maybe, or whatever it is that gets that first hour of the day going in the direction that you want. And I can tell you, when I miss it, and I have missed it for a number of days the last few weeks, the whole day is worse. But if you get that momentum going first thing in the morning and get it going in a positive direction, then law of attraction will help you keep it going throughout the whole day, because you're already pointed in the positive direction, and it'll keep feeding back the positive manifestations, the positive thoughts, the positive feelings to help you keep going on that track. So you owe it to yourself to do that when you go to bed at night, if you can. Find something to feel good about, and then when you wake up in the morning, get that leveraging going, and then start noticing the little impulses that you're getting throughout the day and see what shows up. Because it's an inside job. We can only tell you how it works, but we can't prove it to you. Nobody can. You got to check your thoughts, see how they feel, and then see what shows up by paying attention to the little synchronicities. And then you'll become empowered. Then you'll be able to pull out of any nosedive like we do in a fairly short amount of time, and then start manifesting what you want. Getting down there on time, just about done. Any last parting words, Suzanne?
No, I think we had a lot of fun stories about acting on the impulse, the gentle one.
Yeah, that's our, seems like that was our theme for today, acting on impulses. All right, well then let's start our, excuse me, our process of wrapping up here. Let's see, back here. Let's see. Oh, I didn't put up the 10-minute topic here. I'm not a very good host today. My mind is distracted. So for those of you who are in the area, in the Novi area, Detroit area, on October 15th, we have the Law of Attraction Foundations Workshop that Gerda and Paul...
October 17th.
Oh, is it 17th?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 15th.
It
Hello,
is
I'm looking at September.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yep.
So it'll be on the 15th, which is a Saturday. It's a 6-hour workshop. So if that sounded interesting to you, you want the complete foundation of Law of Attraction plus lunch, it's a really great deal. So be sure to check out our website, or simply send us an email, and we'll get you hooked up with that. We only have room for 6 people, and it's already partially filled up. So that sounds exciting. Be sure to check us out. And then our next meetup group, our monthly meetup group of Law of Attraction members, and we've got almost 1,400 members now. is on the 13th of October, which is a Thursday evening at 6:30, and it's called Empowering Your Relationships, and we'll unravel relationships in terms of law of attraction. We'll get the recording up on YouTube shortly. Next week, the call Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as usual. We'll be using the Zoom software, so that'll come out in the separate email. When you register, you'll get the new Zoom software. And the subject will be about attracting optimal health. So those of you with health challenges want to learn more about health, we'll have a good conversation about that. Want to learn more about us? It's personalsuccessprograms.com on the web. You can find us on Facebook by just typing our name, Personal Success Programs, in on the search bar. So if you liked the call tonight, please like our Facebook page and share it with your friends. We'd love to have more people on these calls. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us, and have a wonderful week. Take care.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.